Thanks for coming back. Always fun to talk to you. You wear a tie on your show, though, right?
I'm cash for you, Stephen.
You're cash for me, tie
It's
for
late
your
night,
show. Okay,
exactly,
good.
yeah.
Now, listen, congratulations, MSNBC. The ratings are great. You guys are like the nerd kings of News Mountain right now. Congratulations. People want information.
Yeah, they do. And it's, you know, it's interesting. I think they want information, and there's a certain way in which having so much news and it being frenetic stirs a kind of curiosity in people that can be really invigorating. I mean, we had this
Fear is a great motivator.
Fear, but also, you know, we had a 10-minute conversation about steel tariffs the other night on the show with the Steelworkers Union.
Sorry,
I know.
I passed out for a second there. What were you?
You're like, I'm bored just hearing you say that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
And it, you know, people watched it. They did great.
Well, let me ask you about doing a 24-hour show on a 24-hour news channel. One of the things that looks like a challenge to me is that, well, we talk about a lot of this stuff on our show with jokes. I mean, there's nobody in front of me making jokes about the things I'm about to talk about. All day long, people on your network are talking about essentially what is the story of the day or the story of the moment. You're coming on right after Chris Matthews. Are you watching him going, damn it, he's talking about everything I'm about to talk about? Or do you have to pretend that everybody just clicks on their TV the moment, you know, Chris Hayes comes on and you're the only one going to tell them this stuff?
I think it's a little bit of both. So we have, there's a bunch of processes by which there's a bunch of meetings throughout the day to try to coordinate the rundown so we are not all doing the same show. At the same time, on the day that, say, Michael Flynn is indicted, you know, you can't be like, well, 7 o'clock has the Michael Flynn indictment. Mm-hmm. You guys, you could just do something else. I hear there's something going on with the Interior Department. Like, no, we're going to do that as well. You have to try to find ways to build in, whether through guesting, through the way that you approach a topic, some sort of novelty or distinctiveness in the way that you approach a story. But when there are big stories happening, everyone's going to cover the big stories.
Well, okay, so big stories. As a newsman, an actual newsman, is the Stormy Daniels lawsuit important or just like news candy?
I think it actually is important. There's two reasons. One, I think it's important because we are watching a cover-up come unraveled in real time, and it's a microcosm of what I suspect is something that they have done a lot of. So this is one instance of one NDA that was signed that locked one inconvenient set of facts away from public prying eyes. We have now found out about it, despite initial denials. I suspect there are others. And so we are learning the sort of mechanisms and architecture by which the Trump campaign and its associates were able to sweep unpleasant facts under the rug. A. B, the timing to me is very interesting. The fact that Michael Cohen was willing to pony up $130,000 for what seems like a thing that's priced into Donald Trump anyway. Like, Donald Trump had an affair with an adult film actress is not mind-blowing to anyone, right?
Because just a few weeks before he paid her the $130,000 was the Access Hollywood bus.
And that, I think, is what's so relevant to me. That freaked them out. It was a low point for the campaign. And also, that's the day that WikiLeaks publishes the first group of John Podesta emails on October 7th, which is the same day the Access Hollywood tape comes out. And I have always wondered about that timing. And I think there's something interesting about the fact that this got signed in the wake of that Access Hollywood tape that suggests to me they were panicked about what the effects of that tape were that make me very interested in the timing of the WikiLeaks publishing.
Wait a second. So there's an implication in there that I want to tease out, which is that you think that someone released the Access Hollywood tape to bury the WikiLeaks?
No, other way around. I think
WikiLeaks was. Go ahead.
I think there's a plausible case. I don't know if this is the case.
Okay.
Plausible case that the WikiLeaks John Podesta emails were published in reaction to Access Hollywood. And my question has always been, like, how did that go about? Why did they publish it then? Why did they publish it an hour after this huge story on a Friday afternoon?
Well, that would take coordination with WikiLeaks and maybe even the Russians who are providing the emails to WikiLeaks. So are you all in on collusion? You're like, no, it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, let's indict the duck? Is that...
Look, I don't know what I don't know. Here's what I would say. I started as a person who generally shies away from conspiracy theories, that thinks that coordinating a bunch of actors in secret is hard and stuff usually comes out. as the facts have come in, my Occam's razor at this point, the simplest explanation is that everyone's running around acting guilty because they're guilty.
Right. That's
what I think they are. Why is everyone lying to investigators? Why is everyone making stuff up? Why are people acting super guilty? They're acting super guilty because they're guilty. Maybe they aren't. Maybe they're in the weird position of acting super guilty while being innocent.
Yes. But all of them have to behave the same way. Right. Which is super guilty at the same time.
Which is what they're doing.
The thing with the Trump administration that I've said before, but always is proven true, is whatever you think is happening is exactly what's happening.
Correct. It's like, oh, it's funny that he fired Comey and then had 2 Russians into the White House with no notice to tell them that he fired Comey and he took the pressure off.
Yeah.
And then he keeps trying to fire his attorney general, and he keeps saying, like, and then he tries to fire Mueller through, like, yeah. Why is the president obstructing this inquiry? I don't know, maybe he has something to hide.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way of knowing other than him telling Lester Holt exactly
right.
why.
If we could just get one more interview with Lester Holt, he'd be like, I'll lay it out for you. Here's how it started.
So who do you think is next to go? Because as we're saying, there's a 43% turnover in the Trump administration, which is extraordinary. It's extraordinary.
Very high.
Yeah, that was...
If you had that on your show, that would be a problem.
What have you heard? Who's the next to go? Do you think that, because all these rumors, Tillerson's going to go and Kelly's going to go, and who's next, do you think?
The reporting indicates that the current National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, is maybe on the chopping block.
Sure.
So people are sort of angling for that. You know, the thing that Tillerson has figured out, which is one of the great ironies of Donald Trump, a man who became famous on a show in which he said, "You're fired," as his catchphrase,
yep.
is he doesn't like to fire people.
Oh, yeah.
He's a wimp about firing people. Of all the things for Donald Trump to turn out to be terrible about,
yeah,
he can't fire people.
No, it's one of the few things that I find positive about Donald Trump.
I find it relatable.
Because
that he's like too much of a wimp to say, like, you're fired.
Well, not even a wimp. If you like firing people, you're an ass. You know, okay, so listen, I know we've got to go here in a minute, but I want to talk about your book is in paperback, a colony in a nation.
Yes.
I almost called it a nation in a colony. A colony in a nation. Explain to the people what you mean by this title.
It's about the ways in which 2 separate legal regimes operate in the United States, and one looks like what we would expect in a democracy with due process, and one, particularly in poor areas, particularly among people of color, doesn't have the kinds of things that we would want in a representative democracy. And it's about the ways these 2-tier justice system functions, and about the politics of law and order, something that I think actually the rhetoric of this president has done a really good job of making very apparent.
You know, Kennedy famously said, those who make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable. If there really is a colony in a nation, at a certain point, the people who are being colonized rise up.
I mean, you see a tremendous amount of frustration. One of the things that we learned when the Department of Justice went to places like Ferguson after what happened in Ferguson, or went to Baltimore after what happened in Baltimore, and they issued these reports, it was the scale and scope of the sort of systemic indignity to people's basic autonomy, their basic right as human citizens, was remarkable and horrifying, and nothing that we should tolerate as American citizens.
Well, I know you got to go do your show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Really
go
appreciate
get all in. A Colony in a Nation is out in paperback. Chris Hayes, everybody.